Hi guys, Lori here with Sew at Peace. In today's video, I'm going to be making a table runner for my indoor markets. So I'm not sure what happened to my audio on here. So if my mouth movements don't line up with what I'm saying, I apologize. But I think maybe my microphone died or something. Anyway, so I'm going to be making the table runner, and the reason for it is sometimes it's hard to hang my normal vinyl banner on the table. It can be a little bit tricky. So I decided to make my own. And this is the canvas fabric that I will be using. So I just bought 2 yards at Hobby Lobby. It's just plain white fabric. I'm just going to be using my Cricut. I'm not an expert at using my Cricut, so I may not explain every single step, but I've already started the process and uploaded my image. So I just need to go on there and finalize the dimensions and print. So I will also be making some cup sleeves in this video. So there's one that I have already made. Okay, it looks like I had made 4 of them. So I'm going to be adding to that to sell at my market on Saturday. And the size that I'm showing is a large, so it doesn't quite fit that glass cup perfectly, but you get the idea. And I'm just showing some samples of the cup sleeves that I've already made and changing my bobbin to a white thread. The thread I had in there was a linen color, and I felt like the white would match with all the different colors that I'm using today. So I don't know if you noticed, but I moved my sewing machine over to my cutting table. So I've been having like so much pain in my arms. So when I sleep on my arm like that, or when I sleep on it on the side, I notice that the pain is worse. And I didn't realize it, but I think the pain is due to the fact that my table that I had been sewing on is a little bit higher, so my arms are raised up when I'm sewing, and I don't think it's an ergonomical position, so that's probably why I've been having so much pain. So I thought, since my cutting table is adjustable, it has a manual lever on there to raise it up or down, so this table actually goes lower than my other table. So I'm just testing it out. Eventually I want to get an actual sewing table that is level, where the sewing machine is level with the surface of the table. I think that would help me a lot. But for now, this solution is going to have to work. So that's what I'm demonstrating with all my movements. I told my daughter that my arms have been hurting a lot, and she's like, well, it's probably because when you sew like this with your arms up. And she, put her arms up pretty much to her shoulder height, and I'm like, yeah, I guess I can see that. I don't know why. I kind of thought about it, that might be the reason before, but for some reason when she said it too, it just kind of confirmed that that's probably why my arms have been hurting. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, on to the Cricut app. So I had started this process a couple weeks ago, and I realized that I didn't have any HTV vinyl. So I put it off, and I had other things that I was working on. So when I went in here initially, it allowed me to remove the background, and I think my sizing wasn't correct. So I was in here trying to get the sizing right, and it wouldn't allow me to remove the background without the upgraded Cricut. I think it's called Cricut Access. I've had that before. I had it for a very long time actually, and I never used it, so I eventually canceled it. I didn't want to restart it just to do this project. So unfortunately, I had to change the font of my logo for the banner. So I just went into Canva and changed it to a print. I think it looks pretty good and it's easy to read. So that's what we ended up doing. And I tried to cut my vinyl, and I think my blade was dull because it was just like barely just scratching the surface. It was terrible. So I ended up running to Walmart to get some new blades. I had never changed the blade and I've owned my Cricut for a few years now. I rarely use it, but I think I dulled it when I was cutting some pleather, and I also cut some fabric. I don't know if there's a certain blade that I needed to use for the fabric. It was just kind of like an experiment, but I think it dulled my blade. Onto the canvas fabric. So first I just measured my fabric to see kind of how big I wanted to make it. I had the length correct, but as far as the width goes, I kind of just eyeballed it. So I cut off the selvage on one end of it. And once I had the width that I wanted, I just literally folded in every border. So I turned it in about somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch. And then I folded it again and repeated that on the rest of the 3 sides. So I wasn't worried about getting it perfectly square, because sometimes when you fold things in like that, it's not perfect, right? But for the sake of a table banner, it just didn't, it's not going to bother me if it's not perfectly square. But I was pretty happy with the way it turned out once I folded in and sewed all the borders, all the edges. Okay, next step is attaching the vinyl to the canvas. So my first layer is the heart. So I just measured on the sides just to make sure that it was perfectly center. And then I measured the length to the bottom just to make sure that it's going to fit in that space, that hangs from the table to the floor. So the green HTV vinyl is a cold peel vinyl. So that means that you just remove the layer of plastic once that has cooled completely. So I was a little bit worried because the lettering that I have here is a hot removal. So it did fine. I didn't have any issues with that. Once, that plastic layer was removed from the heart, and layering it was fine. But I was concerned. This part was a little bit tricky just to make sure that everything is level. Now looking back, I could have probably used, a piece of paper or something else just to use as a guide, something that was square, but it's fine. It just took a little bit more time. Also, my cutting board for some reason kind of left some bubbles in the heart. I don't know what that's about, if there was lint on my ironing board or what, but I forgot that I had my Cricut mat. So I took that out, and that's what I'm adjusting under each layer that I'm applying the heat transfer to. Also, I forgot to mention that I am using a piece of parchment paper as well on top of the HTV, and that is required on the instructions. You can use Teflon paper or parchment paper, so that just helps protect your heating device. Here's the final product. I think that the sign turned out really cute. Notice my handheld misting fan. This is an essential for markets in Arizona. It helps to cool you down. And I am starting on my cup sleeves, so you'll just see me sewing them all here. I had started them off camera. My method to make them quicker definitely worked. So the last time I made these, I cut out all the shapes first and then I quilted them. So this time what I did was left a larger square and quilted that, and once that was quilted, then I took my pattern and cut out all the shapes. This was more efficient. Hello friends. So I didn't get too much video of me making the cup sleeves. I was trying to get them done before my market. I just got a little bit of it, but this is one of them. I'll just go through it and show you all the different ones that I made. There's not too many different patterns. These are the size large that I made, and then these are the size small and medium. Here's one that I made with some plant fabric. So I just used a Velcro, and most of them have the same lining except for the blue ones. The blue ones have a different lining. I'll show you that in a minute. So there's one of the planty ones, and then here's another plant one. This one has plants and books and like a record player, depending on where the fabric was cut. And then this one is like an eggs and bacon one. This one has toast on it. Here's a watermelon print. Love that one. This one is a cactus print. So it just has some cute little saguaros and barrel cactus on it. And then here's one that I made with a blue fabric. So all of these have a cotton flannel on the exterior and just a cotton fabric on the inside. That blue one, and I try to make one, at least one of every size. So these are the small pile. So same thing, cactus, plants, books and plants. This one. So they're all a little bit different just depending on where where the fabric was cut. Yeah, these are all done. Let's see how many I made. I made 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So I did have like 2 or 3 of them done already. I can't remember. I think it was, I don't know, 2 or 3. And the rest I made the other night. So unfortunately, I didn't sell any of these at the market that I did on Friday, but it's all right. We'll just, at least we have them to take to future markets. So I also got a couple of pictures from the market. I didn't get any video. It was like miserably hot. It was so hot. It was 110 degrees that day. Yeah, I was not having fun during setup, or I don't think the temperature got any better until starting time, somewhere around starting time, which was 6. I think I got there at 4:30 to set up, and it was just so hot. So I am going to do another market this Saturday, but it's supposed to be at like 3 degrees cooler. I think the high is supposed to be 107. So hopefully I'll be all right. I know I saw one person, she was suffering from being overheated. I'm sure she was okay, but she had to go and cool down inside for a little bit because it was just so hot. But there was a lot of people that showed up to the market. It wasn't terrible, surprisingly, considering how hot it was that day. But yeah, I look forward to the market this Saturday. Hopefully it's a little bit better. I think my friend is going to go help me set up and hang out with me during that market. So that'll be a first for me to have a friend there with me. So it should be fun. Anyways, that concludes my video. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I hope you have a joyful and peaceful day.